Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. I want to talk about convoy training. Doing a convoy, you might think, well, I'm never going to do a convoy. If you have a bug out group, you will definitely do a convoy. It could be bugging out from your current location, or it might be a supply run, or it could be many reasons why you have to move people and vehicles and supplies. This is a presentation I did to our community group a few weeks ago. What is a convoy? A convoy is two or more vehicles coordinating their travels as a group to the same location. And as I said, it could be when you're bugging out. The more people, the more equipment, the more vehicles you have, the better you should spend some time organizing the convoy and making sure it's done right. If you only have two vehicles, you still need to have a game plan. But if you throw 5, 6, 7, 10 vehicles into a convoy, you have to have a plan to make sure you're successful. You might not be bugging out. You might have, like in our case, we live in a community of like-minded preppers all around us, but we have preppers that are actually in the city or in areas where they cannot sustain themselves. So we might have to go get them and bring them out of danger and bring them to one of the places that they can have refuge. It might also be a supply run. You might need to go get supplies, food, medicine, and this is going to have to be done as a convoy. Nothing given to chance, planning it out accordingly. Vehicles are a very big part of our lives and will still be a big part during a raw situation. Pre-convoy planning. It starts out with a vehicle checklist, listing everything you need for that vehicle, from tools to fuel to tow ropes, and the list goes on and on. Things that you're going to need during this convoy. You're also going to check and make sure your vehicle is topped off. Not just looks like a full tank, but actually top it off so you can't get any more gas into the tank. You're going to take your additional food, water, and gas with you. You never know. A short trip might turn into an all-day or a multi-day event if you have to have a detour. A big thing is a radio check. Confirm your radio frequencies and call signs before you pull out, so everyone knows. I mentioned tow straps, tools, jacks, spare tires, anything you might need. Definitely a fire extinguisher. If it's a raw event, the fire company will not be able to respond to you. You might want to be able to try to put the fire out. Your vehicle might be a loss, but maybe you'll have a time to get people out or get supplies out of that vehicle if it does start on fire. You need to think about a refueling site. A refueling site, you might look at a map and say, you know what, we're going to have to refuel one time during this trip. Let's find a place where maybe we're out in the open where we can see people coming for miles. So during the refueling process, if we do see trouble, we'll have time to react. Instead of having a lot of vegetation around you where people can sneak up on you and ambush you or harass you, and you have no warning because they're right on you because of the vegetation or the terrain. Also, what is a RON? Remaining overnight. You might want to say, tell people, hey, we're gonna remain overnight, or a RON, so they can prepare accordingly. Or you might be traveling in the convoy and just by chance you cannot get back or get to your destination that you were planning on spending the night, so you're going to have to remain overnight. You can simply on the radio tell your people, your friends, hey, we're going to do a RON tonight. That means you're going to remain overnight. You might not want to say on an open radio, hey, we can't make it there, or we're going to stay over here for the night, because if people are listening to you, they might realize that, hey, you have a bunch of guys or gals gone, so certain areas of your retreat or community might be left unguarded or very weak guarded. So if you just tell them, hey, we're going to do a RON, that will convey that message. You'll remain overnight. The picture showing here, this is what we're trying not to do. We're trying to have an organized convoy that provides security, picks the best route, so we don't get in a neighborhood or an area of where there's violence. We're going to talk about 4 things that have to deal with convoying and operational security. Operational security can also be called OPSEC. There's 4 areas for this. First one is counter surveillance. Second is signal security. Third is physical security. Next is information security. While you're traveling, there's a thing called the gray man versus the porcupine. Gray man is you blend in. People hopefully will all be traveling and you won't stick out to be targeted. Or it's called the porcupine. Porcupine is, imagine you're driving your vehicle and you do have firearms, and when someone say, hey, we need to go porcupine, it's going to be a show of force. Everyone faces out in the vehicle, putting your weapon out, just like the porcupine has his quills out when he's in danger. Hopefully this could get you past certain areas. They might say, hey, that's too strong of a force. We're going to let him go and look for easier pickings. Basically, you're going to be very aggressive, go ahead, make my day attitude. This might get you through some areas, and they're going to look for a weaker target. Dominate your environment during this porcupine. There's key words that you need to know if you're in a convoy, because when something happens in a convoy, it's quick, it's fast, it's instant. You don't have time to explain anything other than a few key words, and with these few key words, people will react. The first one is alert. It could be, hey, alert, pedestrians on the right, alert, stalled vehicle on the left, alert, underpass, alert, bridge. So this is just giving everyone in the vehicle or in the convoy a heads up that there could be a potential problem. It might not be a problem, but it's a potential problem, so be on alert. The next one is assault through. You might get ambushed or hit, and you need to actually fight your way through. So if someone comes on the radio and says assault through, you know what that means. Keep driving and be prepared to use force or deadly force. Another one is bail out. If you hear the words bail out from someone in your vehicle, the driver, this is immediately get out of the vehicle safely. Next is blow through, very close to assault through, but blow through is, hey, there might be a riot, it might be disturbance. You need to not stop this vehicle, keep the vehicle moving, and let's get through. One is brake, and this could be because people are pulling security. They could be in the back of a pickup truck, they could be looking out the side windows, not paying attention to what's in front of them because that's their sector. The driver will say brake. Now if he says brake, brake very quickly and fast, you know that he's going to be braking quickly and fast. This gives a time for someone, especially in the back of a truck, to brace themselves for a sudden stop. Contact is contact with a hostile force, and you can say contact to the right, contact to the left. That will give people a heads up what direction it is. Dismount. Simply, hey, we're getting out of the vehicle. It's not a bailout, but it's, hey, dismount, get out of the vehicle, pull security. And then definitely man down, self-explanatory. There's an injured man or a vehicle down. There's an injured or destroyed vehicle that can't move. We're going to talk about counter surveillance. In a worst case event, you might need to camouflage or tone down your vehicle, and this includes the headlights and the windshields. If it's a raw event, but you can still travel on the roads, but you have to be careful, you probably won't be doing that. But a worst case, and you do not want to be seen, you need to camouflage. Moving at night or during periods of reduced visibility is very, very recommended if you have some night vision. You might have to use IR chem lights on the back of the vehicles. But moving at night is always, if you have people with night vision, a lot safer. Especially if you pick the right time of night. Hopefully the bad guy is sleeping. Remember, if you want to move at night but you're not going to use night vision, every time you hit those brake lights, so if you do have your lights off, your brake lights are going to show. A lot of vehicles have the daytime driving lights, so you can't turn your lights off. So you might pull over to be quiet, your engine's still running, you just want to hide for a second, and it's your daylight driving lights are on. So you might need to find that fuse. So you can disconnect those, so you can be totally blacked out when you need to. Especially the dome light inside your vehicle. When you open the door, you're going to slip out of the vehicle quietly. You open the door, your dome light goes on. You might need to pull the bulb or pull the fuse. You can also use terrain as concealment. A lot of times that's hard to do if you're staying on the road, but if you're going off-road and using four-wheel vehicles, this is definitely something you need to use. Maintain noise, litter, and light discipline also. Signal security. This has to do with radios and with communication, and basically we want to prevent disclosure of operational information, communication codes. So there's ways to do that. I'm not going to go into direction and distance. That's a whole nother video to explain that. There's also things called phase lines and checkpoints. These are phase lines. If you look at this map, there's certain areas, lines that you can draw across the map, and this is just a line you draw, and it's a phase line. This represents a phase line here, a phase line here, a phase line here, and a phase line here. So if you're traveling on a route and you cross this phase line, you can repeat on the radio, tell them what phase line you crossed. As the convoy and whoever you're communicating back at base or at your retreat, they have the same map, so they know exactly when you cross a phase line, and they know roughly where you are. You can also use checkpoints. So as you drive and you pass a checkpoint, you can say, hey, passing checkpoint 7. People will know exactly where you are, and this will help you in case you are ambushed. If you are ambushed or you lose commos because of contact, they're already following you back at your CQ or your base or your retreat, and they know exactly where you are, so they can send help without looking all along the route that they thought you were going to be traveling. We're going to talk about physical security. If you're driving multi vehicles, you need to have a security element at the front and the rear to deal with any problems. These will probably be four-wheel drive vehicle or a heavy-duty vehicle, and these will have people in here that probably know what they're doing, trained, and they're going to provide security to any threat to the convoy. I want to talk about rat patrol. What is a rat patrol? Let's hypothetically say we're going to move a large group of people. We have 12, 15 vehicles. We might not want to drive into a problem, so what we're going to do is send a rat patrol. It'll be a single vehicle, and they will be miles and miles and miles ahead of the convoy. Now, yes, it is risky for them, but what it's doing is giving you eyes on the road way ahead, so hopefully you don't drive into an ambush, or maybe the road is physically closed or blocked where you can't get through. This is where these guys can stop the convoy, and then they can find another route, so you don't waste valuable time driving forward. But basically, the rat patrol is a far miles ahead of your convoy, and it's for early warning, so you don't drive into an ambush. Information security. You're going to send a convoy somewhere. You have maps. You need to make sure you can control your maps. These are sensitive items, so they need to be treated that way. Preparing vehicles for the convoy. This is important because you need to check and make sure that vehicle is totally ready to go. A lot of problems we had in Iraq were because of maintenance issues. Tires were a big problem. Make sure you inspect your loads. Everything's tied down. If you're driving a regular pickup truck, try to have some type of safety strap in the back so people can at least hold on. Also, cover your supplies. If you can see these two pictures, the guy with the red pickup truck, he covered his supplies. It's hard to tell what he has in the back. The van, it got supplies all over, tied on, they're not covered, and people will see that and you will become a target. So cover up. If people can't see what you have a less chance of being attacked for your supplies. All right, let's say we're going to do a convoy. We need to move, bug out from point A to point B, and we have the 3 vehicles in our family. We have the 3 vehicles on the left up there. What we need to do is cross-load your vehicles. Don't put all your food in one vehicle, and after you fill it up, start on your ammunition and medical supplies, and then throw guns in the last vehicles and other personal items. If you have 3 vehicles, 1/3 of ammo, medical, food, everything goes in one vehicle. That way, if you lose one vehicle during the trip where you have to abandon it, you're only losing 1/3 of your supplies, and the rest of your supplies are evenly distributed to the other vehicles, so at least you have stuff for every category of survival. Let's say we're going to take that convoy and we have 10 to 15 vehicles. It's really hard to take 10 or 15 vehicles and properly pre-stage them in your driveway if you live in a suburban area. So you might need to find an area, hey, the alley next door, let's park the vehicles there and go from there. Also, this is where you do your final inspection and do a convoy brief so everyone understands the mission, and this is where you do your last radio check. Night convoys, I'm not going to go into that because it's a whole video in itself on night convoys and how to move properly. Sniper fire while moving. Let's say we're bugging out and we take sniper fire. It's hard to do anything against sniper fire, and your best offensive passive. That's wearing protective body armor, Kevlar helmets, and anything you can use to harden your vehicle. Hopefully you can move through the area without stopping. While you're moving through, make sure you notify the convoy so other people behind you will prepare themselves so that they will probably take some rounds to their vehicle. Gather information and report to others. This is very important. If you take small arms fire, probably from a sniper, Gather as much information as you pass through so you can tell other preppers or other people in your community, hey, there's a sniper in this area, do not drive through this area. Ambushes is probably a big part if you're trying to bug out, especially with the terrain we have in the United States, a lot of curvy roads, a lot of vegetation. Ambush is a big part, and basically an ambush is a surprise attack from a concealed position. Your best defense is to avoid being ambushed. How are you going to avoid being ambushed? Best is to select the best route. This comes back to having intel, monitoring things, monitoring radios, monitoring the police. Pick your best route. Stay away from neighborhoods that are usually bad already, or neighborhoods that have already have a lot of chaos in them because of the crisis. Make a map recon of the least you do is make a map recon. Look at the map, study the map, say, hey, this is the best route, let's plan this route out. If you have the opportunity, if you were going to move a lot of people and equipment, to have a ground recon, sort of like your rat patrol, send a patrol out to drive the route you're going to take to see if it's clear. How are you going to reduce the effectiveness of an ambush? As I said, you harden your vehicles. If you harden your vehicles, make sure the driver can see, make sure you don't interfere with any of the components that he's going to need. Stick shift, brakes, lights, steering wheel. So be very careful that you don't make it very hard on the driver. Definitely cover your load. If the bad guy sees that you've got valuable supplies, you're in a better chance of being ambushed. Space prime targets throughout the convoy. This could be family. If you have a lot of people you're moving, I would consider this something I don't want to be injured. The bad guy might be looking for supplies, but I'm trying to make sure you protect loved ones. Wear protective clothing, long sleeves, pants, eye protection. These could protect you from a lot of things. Definitely the eye protection from flying glass, from bullets. Pre-arranged signals to warn convoy of an ambush. Whatever your signal is, so when you see an ambush, everyone knows it's not, hey, we're getting ambushed, or it's a specific word. It could be ambush, ambush, ambush right, something that everyone knows that you need to take immediate action to survive. Also, using escort vehicles, security vehicles in the front and rear, will reduce the effectiveness of ambush because you'll be able to help an ambush vehicle. Probably all convoy personnel know immediate action drills. When you get hit, no one's going to tell you what to do. Everyone has an SOP, standard operating procedure, and you're going to follow that. Practice these immediate action drills. We will be practicing very soon with our local community. Very important that people know exactly what to do. Maintain intervals between vehicles, and this is going to change. Sometimes you want to be close for command and control, or there's a lot of vehicles and you don't want to lose anybody or have anybody picked off and not be able to stay with the convoy. But basically move through the kill zone as quickly as possible if you're in the kill zone. You could stop short of the ambush. By stopping short of the ambush, you can set up a base of fire and shoot at the ambush, so if anyone on your convoy is stuck in the ambush site, it will distract the people ambushing your friends and loved ones. If you are in an ambush, try not to block the road. If your vehicle's blocking the road, everything's going to come to a standstill. So if you can, even if your vehicle's damaged, get it out of the main part of the road so vehicles can come to your aid. Counterattack with your escort vehicles. You should have an escort vehicle in the front and in the rear, and these can actually counterattack the bad guy. I'm not going to talk about ramming. A very important part. There's a correct way of ramming a vehicle. What to do in an ambush. That is going to be another video, but I just want to bring up convoys. Vehicles are a huge part of our lives. We need to know how to react to a bad situation in a raw event. Plus, just with carjackings, we need to be a little bit more concerned when we're traveling. When we're traveling in a vehicle, we're out in the open. We're in the public space. So that is a better chance of being hurt or injured. If someone attacks me in my house, this is my property. I know the property well, so it gives me a little bit of an advantage. But when you're out in the general public, driving on the streets in every day or in a roll events, you have to be a little bit more careful and concerned about your safety. Thanks for watching.